We got a huge weekend full of lax, and let's start with the men's team. We're here with our lax expert, JJ Post, and we're going to talk about this Notre Dame men's lax team before their big matchup with Duke. This team was ranked #1 in the country, our Notre Dame team, following their national championship, trying to defend the title. Struggled a little bit earlier with a pretty good Georgetown team. Now we're back, rose to that #1 ranking again. How did we get that done the last couple of weeks?
I mean, I think the team always had the talent to get it done. I think it had the talent from the start of the season, and you're seeing that now. I think the Georgetown loss was maybe just the necessary, I don't want to say wake-up call per se, but it was kind of the sign that, hey, if we don't lock in for the entire game, if we make mistakes, we can be punished for those mistakes. First few games of the season, you saw Notre Dame kind of cruise to victory against a couple lesser opposition. Marquette gave them a nice test, but probably that wasn't a game where they never realistically have a chance to lose. Georgetown was a team that they stayed firm. They had a couple of I don't want to say lucky bounces. They had a couple of bounces that went their way. They had a couple of calls that Kevin Corrigan wasn't pleased about that went their way, and at the end of the day, they took advantage. They capitalized. Good teams will capitalize off that stuff. Notre Dame hadn't played a team that was good enough to capitalize off of the chances Notre Dame gave them. Georgetown did, and then after that Georgetown game, I thought you saw Notre Dame tighten up a little bit. They didn't make as many kind of careless, sleepwalking type mistakes. Not that they made a ton of those before the Georgetown game, but losing that game really, I think, locked them in, showed them, hey, this title defense was never going to be easy. We still want to finish this season unbeaten. One loss is, obviously one loss. You can't go undefeated now, but you could finish the rest of the season unbeaten, and I think that is very much the goal for this Notre Dame team that has the capability to win out every other game on their schedule.
And mentioning some of those early mistakes that we were making, this weekend provides an opportunity where you cannot make any of those mistakes. You're playing a #3 ranked team in the country in the Duke Blue Devils in Durham. It's a rematch of last year's national championship. What can we look forward to going into this weekend?
You can expect to see Duke coming out fired up. We talk about this Duke team. They are, a team that has every much their eyes on the national championship as Notre Dame does, and given the loss in the title game that year, they're going to be out for vengeance. And in front of their home fans, this Duke-Notre Dame rivalry has been a very good one over the course of these two programs' histories, two storied programs. It's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a great atmosphere. And one thing Notre Dame's going to need to deal with, and I'm not sure they've dealt with it on the road this season. Notre Dame's gotten some great crowds at home. I don't think they're going to have to. They've played in front of as hostile an environment as they are going to face this weekend in Durham. I don't think that's going to affect them too much, but it is going to be another factor at play if you're Notre Dame that you're used to playing in front of 5,000 fans at not at Orlada Stadium. That is, but they're cheering for you. They're making noise when you get the ball. Absolutely. They're getting on the other team when they have possession. That's going to be flipped around. I don't think Notre Dame's played in front of a crowd of that element so far this season, at least on the opposition to them. I don't think that's going to be too much of a task for them to handle. This is a team of seasoned professionals or seasoned semi-professionals that won a national title last year. They should be able to handle it, but it is something I don't think they face this year that they are going to have to face on Sunday.
Another thing that they're going to have to face is reigning Tewaaraton winner Brennan O'Neill, widely considered by many to be one of the greatest college lacrosse players of all time, much less just right now. He's the favorite to win the Tewaaraton again this season. How can the Notre Dame defense kind of hold him back and try to keep him contained?
Now, Kevin Corrigan's going to have a far, far better answer than anything I could ever give. So I'll keep my answer to what I said about Northwestern's reigning Tewaaraton winner, Izzy Skane, a couple weeks ago when Notre Dame played #1 Northwestern at Loftus Sports Center, which is somewhat counterintuitively, I wouldn't try to overthink your plan for O'Neill. How good he is. He's going to get his. I wouldn't try to bend the defense to his, to try to fit his will. I wouldn't try to overcommit to stopping him. He's going to be good. He's going to get his. Don't try to overthink it. I'm sure they're going to have a good defensive game plan, and I'm not as anywhere near well-versed enough in lacrosse defensive strategy to try to give you that game plan. So what I'm going to say is don't try to sell out to stop him, because you saw that when Notre Dame played Northwestern, they didn't try to sell out to stop Izzy Skane. Everyone knew Izzy Skane was going to score, which she did, but they didn't overcommit to stopping her. She only got a few. Notre Dame won that game because they played their style of lacrosse. That's even more for men's lacrosse, who's going to have the advantage. They're coming in the #1 team in the country. They're coming in the team that everyone respects as the gold standard right now in men's lacrosse. They shouldn't try to change their game plan. They should play their style of lacrosse. If O'Neill gets his, he'll get his. But you got to trust that your players, especially your goalkeeper, Liam Entenmann, one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the country, who put on a masterclass performance last time Notre Dame men's lacrosse played Duke in the national title game, trust that he will get his. He'll do the job you need to do. Don't try to sell out to stop him. I think you just play your style of lacrosse. Expect him to be there. Know he's going to be a threat. Don't, not engage him. But don't try to commit. Don't try to overcommit. Let Liam Entenmann do his thing in net. Let your, best goalkeeper in lacrosse be the best goalkeeper in lacrosse. Obviously, you don't want to give up 100 shots.
Absolutely.
But if you let Liam Entenmann be Liam Entenmann, you don't need to try to, overcommit to putting 3 defenders on, O'Neill every time he touches the ball.
Lot to look forward to this weekend in Durham with number 1 Notre Dame playing against number 3 Duke. It should be a fantastic one to watch. Thank you very much, JJ. We'll hear a little more later from you in the show about our women's team this weekend. Now let's take a break. But before we get to that, April brings about the fundraising season here at Notre Dame. And just like every other student organization on campus, we need funding. And as you can see on your screen right now, there's a QR code. If you scan that, you have the option to send a donation right here to NDTV, where next year we can look forward to providing more incredible content for you and hopefully increase the production of our shows. If you feel so called, please do that. It would be very, very appreciated, and everyone here at NDTV would really, really thank you. Now let's hear a little bit from Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ND Sunrise.
This is the
review of the Keenan Review.
That's right, we've got a big game in Sin City.
Plot twist, I am the Grim Reaper.
Overall, this year's event was a rousing success.
Would Notre Dame be the first one to accept ASL as a foreign language as a department?
Once again, I'm Elena Morgan from ND Sunrise, signing off.
And with that, we'll welcome you back to the second floor as we got Trey Cotey back from crease, apparently, back to midfield.
A lot of effort on that dodge.
I know, a lot of effort. You got to go dip, dive.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. You got to get around. But we will get you caught up in all you need to know in Notre Dame athletics right now with our Friday headlines. We'll start in the natatorium, where Notre Dame men's swimming and diving just wrapped up their season in historic fashion. The Irish finished 10th at the NCAA championship meet this past weekend. The best finish at nationals in program history. Junior Chris Giuliano led the way for Notre Dame with the best individual performance in program history. Giuliano finished 4th in the 50 freestyle, making him an All-American, as well as 5th in the 100 freestyle and 3rd in the 200 freestyle. Giuliano was also part of the 200 free relay team that set a program record by finishing 8th. NDTV swimming analyst Cooper Van Driesch will stop by next week with more on the team's success this year.
The Notre Dame softball team will be hosting its annual Strikeout Cancer Weekend this weekend when the Irish host Virginia. Both teams are middle of the standings in the ACC, and it should be a competitive matchup. Notre Dame is looking to sweep a second consecutive home series with Virginia.
On the other side of the diamond, Notre Dame baseball hosts number 2 Clemson beginning this afternoon at 4:30. The Tigers are a favorite to make it to Omaha as they are ranked 2nd this year across college baseball by D1 Baseball, and they are led by second-year head coach Eric Bakich. Matthew Markle will take the bump for Clemson, as well as Matt Bedford for Notre Dame will get the start, as Notre Dame, the Irish, are looking to pull a big upset in D1 Baseball.
After a quiet start to the offseason, Notre Dame men's basketball was back in the news earlier this week when forward Kerry Booth announced he would be entering the transfer portal. The former Penn State recruit who followed Coach Shrewsbury played in all 33 games this past season for the Irish, averaging 6.4 points per game and 4.3 rebounds. Booth also led the team in blocks with 21. Making the announcement on his Instagram Monday, Booth left open the option of returning to Notre Dame. Losing Booth is kind of it's a wrench in the system that we weren't really expecting as Notre Dame fans for this men's basketball team, and it's losing a little bit of a size in a front court that was already somewhat undersized. We're losing Matt Zone as well to the transfer portal, so that leaves Kebajai to have a much bigger role next year, as well as talented freshman Garrett Sundra. Looking forward to see how they can contribute to this Notre Dame front court. Now we're going to kick it to Jake Irons to talk some little women's lacrosse.
Hey, thanks so much, Trey. It's not just the men taking on Duke on the lacrosse field. It is also the women's lacrosse team. They play Duke here this weekend. And JJ Post, we welcome you back in, our lacrosse insider. There's a lot to look forward to for this team, but there's also a lot to fear against a Duke team that's a little sneaky good in the ACC right now.
Absolutely. You can't be overlooking any matchup if you're this Notre Dame women's lacrosse team. You know, I think the consensus was kind of like, you know, hey, they've got through the hardest games of the schedule. They've played Boston College. They've played Syracuse. They've played Northwestern. Now they can kind of hit this back half. And I don't want to say coast, but it's definitely a lot less upper top heavy in terms of the, there's no more top 10 games in the schedule. Yeah. This does not mean this Duke team can be overlooked by any means. This is a scrappy team, like you said. They will give Notre Dame a fight if Notre Dame lets them give them a fight. So I think Notre Dame's just got to come into this game, expecting that, hey, it's senior day. We want to have a good time out there. Our last time maybe at our Lotta Stadium, but we don't want to, let Duke pull any surprises. We want to end this senior day with a win. I think Notre Dame, the ball is in their court in terms of how they want to finish this season. They have played their toughest test. No one can deny that. But you still got, 3, 4, 5 more games in the schedule. Yeah. You got to close those out. You can't take anything for granted. You got to win the games you're supposed to win if you want to make noise in the NCAA tournament like this team wants to do.
Yeah, they want to make a lot of noise in this NCAA tournament. But really, right now, what you're looking at is a team that is starting to try and find themselves at the right moment. They've pieced together some big wins. You talked about the BC game, but this is a Duke team that took down a UVA team that beat Notre Dame here at our Lotta.
The ACC is not a league where you can take anything for granted. This is a team, any team in the ACC, well, not any team, most teams in the ACC on any given day.
There's a 26-5 game a couple days ago.
Most teams in the ACC on any given day can give a fight if you let them to any other team in the ACC. It is iron sharpens iron conference. When you have this many quality, teams in one, hub, in one pod of, in a collection, they're going to make each other better. When you play Boston College, Syracuse, and you see both of those right there in the top 10, but you play teams like Virginia, not in the top 10, but a team that very clearly can compete with the best of the best. Mm-hmm. Duke, who beat Virginia, they can compete with the best because these teams are all making each other better. They're all competing against the best of the best, and it gives them that much more experience every time they play another important game. ACC, I don't think there is a conference in college lacrosse that prepares you for the NCAA tournament quite like the ACC does. It is both a blessing for Notre Dame because it makes them better, and a curse because you have games like this where even if on paper the standing difference might be a little different, that Duke's going to give them a fight.
They're going to give them a fight, but someone that is going to try and keep their fight going is Jackie Wolak, along with this group of graduate students and seniors. That is a loaded group. 17 on this team of seniors and grad students. They have been the backbone of this team. It's a little bittersweet for Chris Halfpenny and this team, understanding how much over the past 4 years have been built on these pillars.
I don't think it's possible really to understate just how much the senior/graduate student senior class has meant for this Notre Dame women's lacrosse program. These are players that really you have seen a new era in program history be basically birthed because they have put so much effort into building this program up. 2 quarterfinals in the past 3 years. That had never been done in a 3-year span in program history. This year might be the best ever in program. Obviously we can't judge that stuff until the tournament comes around, and that is going to be a whole nother beast. But the pieces they have put together so far early in the season, first win over the number 1 team in program history, first win on the road in Chestnut Hill in 20 years. Yeah. They are looking like a team that has the bones to go into these big games and come out on top. Again, you can't say enough about what Wolak, Choma, Ahern, those are the big 3, but also, Denny's, Mary Kelly Doherty, Lily Callahan in net, the transfers, Olivia Dooley, Arden Tierney. These are players that have 4 or 5 years of experience in college lacrosse, and you can see how much that comes to the forefront in these biggest moments because this team, I think in prior years, you could see them, they had the talent, but sometimes it just felt like they hadn't had enough reps in these big games to, keep on throwing punches. When Northwestern and the likes of Northwestern, Syracuse, Boston College, they'd keep punching. Notre Dame would eventually run out of punches. Notre Dame hasn't run out of punches yet this year.
No, they have not, and that should make for a good game on Saturday to watch. However, before we send it over to a quick word from Elise Dehoney on Amazon, we want to remind you, donate to us as April marks our fundraising efforts right here on campus television as they provide us the funds to be able to take on our content to the next level. So please, think about hitting that QR code. We'll be right back, and we're talking Final Four when we come back.
Hi Irish, my name is Elise Dehoney and I'm the NDTV Director of Operations. If you'd like to support NDTV, make sure to click on the link on the screen or in our description. It's an Amazon link, will take you straight to the site, and any purchase you make through that link, we receive a small portion of the revenue. This is a great way to support NDTV and get all those things you need for the perfect Notre Dame tailgate. I'm talking, mugs and flags and hats and all the merch that you need. So make sure to click on that link and support NDTV. We're here for all of you. Thank you.
Men, let me go first. We have a good transition.
And we welcome you back here to the second floor. Bring in our basketball insider, Ben Rohr. Got the fresh cut? You're ready to go?
Oh yeah, I'm raring to go.
You're raring to go.
To be here.
So let's start with the women's tournament who has their Final Four games tonight. What is your flamin' hot take?
My flamin' hot take, Paige Becker's MVP of this Final Four. MVP of this Final Four.
Not Caitlin Clark?
No.
Okay.
No.
Why?
Because of the defensive edge that UConn has over this Iowa team. I think people are waiting for this UConn squad to run out of gas. They're waiting for it. They're injured. They aren't deep. They're going to run out of steam. It hasn't happened yet, and you know what? I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to. If Paige Beckers could go shot for shot with Caitlin Clark tonight, I think UConn gets the win. They have the slight edge defensively. Offensively in this tournament, they've been very similar in proficiency. I mean, aside from the Caitlin Clark 40-piece every night kind of thing. But other than that, if Paige Beckers could go shot for shot, which I think she can, I think she's raring to go in this matchup after they played in the tournament 2 years ago, and UConn got the win there as they were, freshmen. But I think that's my hot take. That's my hot take. Paige Beckers comes in, goes shot for shot with Caitlin Clark. UConn gets the dub.
I like it. It's hot.
It's flaming hot.
Can I counter that?
You can't
Because
counter that.
a lot of what you've been mentioning is, besides the Caitlin Clark, and maybe I'm just buying into the hype here. Caitlin Clark's going to drop a 50-piece in the national championship game.
Wow.
They're going to beat undefeated South Carolina,
Wow.
and she is going to go out
That's
of college
hot.
basketball as the greatest college athlete of all time. Not just women's
There's the
basketball.
fire extinguisher.
All time. She's averaging 32 in the tournament so far. Dropped a 41-piece against LSU, a very good defensive LSU team.
True.
In that Elite Eight matchup. That was a rematch of last year's national championship. I think that the game tonight is honestly more difficult than the South Carolina game, which might be another crazy statement. But I think on that national championship stage, Caitlin Clark will not let her team suffer a second straight defeat in that national championship. I think if she makes it through this Final Four matchup with a very, very talented UConn team, they take home the dub, and Caitlin drops a 50-piece.
Wow. Flaming hot.
I'm going to give
Flaming
you
hot.
a take that is as flaming as my hair.
That's pretty flaming.
It's flaming. South Carolina is 2 wins away from an undefeated season. They do not get there. Give me the Wolfpack in Westmore to take them down.
What are we doing here?
NC State has a dynasty cooking in men's and women's basketball. It is a hot take. Camila Cardoza, no. Guess what? Westmore, Wolfpack.
Spoilers for your men's take there.
Whoa.
Dynasty in both?
Flaming hot. So then this gets me
Should we dive
to my
into
other.
it?
Oh, we're getting to men's right now. Guess what? We're staying on Tobacco Road.
This is as flaming gets.
Give me the man, the myth, the big brother, DJ Burns to take down
That's America's
Zach
center.
Edey.
That's America's center.
Guess what? Wolfpack showing like their 2011 Kemba and the UConn Huskies. They got a dynasty rolling. Give me the Wolfpack. They're going to sweep both. And guess what? Raleigh's going to be going crazy.
That's about as flaming can get. And DJ Burns is America's center. It's hard not to love the guy. But he does not take down Zach Edey. But I'll tell you who does, Donovan Clingan and this UConn team.
Okay.
This may not sound like a hot take. They're the #1 overall seed. They're probably going to win the whole thing from the start of the year.
How is this hot?
Over 30% of
Flaming
brackets
hot.
picked them to
This
win
is
it all.
cold as ice cream right now.
Here's the take, is how it's going to happen.
everyone said was the
How
best.
it's going to happen.
Okay.
Zach Edey is going to get 3 fouls in the first half. He's going to have limited minutes, and he's going to foul out with over 5 minutes remaining in the game. It will be a close game.
Okay.
Throughout the first half, Zach Edey will foul out with over 5 minutes left in the game. Purdue is not going to be able to take it down the stretch and close it out.
So your flaming hot take is that Zach Edey fouls out?
Yep.
That's not hot. I don't think
I'm
that's
sorry, I
hot.
can't say that NC State is going to win both the men's
No.
and the women's,
Here.
because that's just ridiculous.
Let me go ahead and lay down what's going to
That's
happen.
ridiculous.
Let me lay down
That is
what's gonna happen.
ridiculous.
Let's lay it down.
Because
Let's lay
this
it
is
down.
my flaming hot take. We're about to witness 2 of the worst Final Four games in recent memory. That's my flaming hot take.
That's not flaming.
I
Both
think
lines are like 12.
You literally picked UConn to win. As a flaming
I
hot
don't think
take.
you have any room to talk.
What's
That's
going
fair.
on? I'm saying these are going to be blowouts. These are going to be blowouts. I know, let's start with, we were talking about NC State a lot. Let's start with them. I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the Final Four, the big man, Zach Edey versus DJ Burns, this is going to be insane. The gap is big.
It is.
It is not close. The Zach Edey to DJ Burns gap, I apologize, Jake, is not close. I think Zach Edey's going to have his way with DJ Burns in the paint there. And I think you look at Purdue's lineup, every single spot, they're a step above that NC State team. NC State is on this Cinderella run, and I'm loving it. This is where they, meet reality here. This is where the clock strikes midnight, if you will, on this Cinderella team. Other side of the bracket, people are loving this Alabama team and how high scoring they are, right? 15 threes a game. This is awesome. You know what else they're doing?
Put up points.
Since their last loss, they are allowing 90 points a game. And allowing 90.4 points per game against this UConn team is not something that's really you're not gonna get away with that.
Hey, Trey, you know how you play good basketball?
Yep.
You know how?
I do, yeah.
Guess what? You don't let the other team score 90 points.
Yeah.
You put up your best money.
That's the problem with Alabama.
Yeah.
That is the problem with Alabama.
They do not.
There's no defense.
They do not allow the other team to score 90. They're very happy letting the other team score 90 as long as they score 90.
And against this UConn team where their defense has just been suffocatingly good, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. They're going to put up 110
I hope it does.
Score 80.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it will be a great time
I'm
this
excited for
weekend.
the final. I'm excited for the final.
The final will be great.
UConn's going to be awesome.
Nonetheless,
Regardless of who's in the final.
Regardless, it'll make for a fantastic Final Four weekend. However, before we sign off, I'm going off script here for our producer. As you guys have known, someone deserves a huge congratulations. As it's been announced, I'll be stepping away from the executive producer role here on this show to take on a larger administrative role within the club. That leaves the sports director position open. We have announced it within our club, but we are very excited to announce it to you guys, our viewers, that Ryan Murphy will be taking on the show. Someone that I know all of us up here, as well as everyone behind the scenes, is excited to see where he takes this show. He ran a 3-man crew today, like no one's business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Ryan, congratulations from all of us.
Woo! No one more deserving, man.
No one more deserving. Congrats. And we are so excited to have him leading the way. We've got a couple more shows left this semester, so don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you next week back at 3:30.